Yeah. Because that's not what I'm looking for. Done.
What are you looking for? Yeah, you're not looking for that, right? You're not looking for fame and riches. No. You're looking for something that's bigger, like deeper.
And that's why I don't try to make money off of my work. Like, I don't want to make a living off of my work. So the things that I do instead are things like teach. Like, I love teaching. I love mentoring young people, and I love helping them make connections for them, and like help them see those connections in succeeding in the studio with how they can succeed in life, and like things like that. Like, I love this. There's like a deeper meaning for me.
I'm this like kind of like freedom of speech hangover, where I just can't get over the fact that we're being restricted so much here in America, the land of the free.
I know, right?
Not really.
No, it's interesting because so many of my friends that I met at RISD are like international students, right? And trying to get their visa because their student visa is about to end. And like before, they were asking me like, oh, I don't know if I should stay. Is it really worth it? Like, America is not the land of dreams that I thought it was when I was young. And I was like, it's not. It's hard even for citizens. So it's like imagining how hard it is for non-citizens or people who are trying to become citizens. It's just it's like the system is built against us, even as artists, and then as people of color, and then you add on that other layer of like, not a citizen, but trying to be. It's all fucked.
Yeah. And also, I don't know, sometimes, okay, so like, let's play like the devil's advocate also, like,
okay.
I get it. Like, let's say I made a country. I went in there, killed a bunch of people.
Are we playing this game again? Okay.
I found a piece of land that wasn't the one I was looking for, but it's kind of bigger. So I'm like, awesome. And then I kill a bunch of people and I settle in. And then I call my friends and they settle in. And then they call their friends. And then more people want to come. And now we're like, that's enough people, And and then it doesn't really make sense, and a lot of the things don't make sense. Another thing that doesn't make sense is I built this like country, which isn't real, on the ideals of freedom. And we fled the tyranny of the Eastern European regime and this guy did. And all of those things. And we're in this new land, like it's sunny. There's a gold rush on the other coast and we're headed there as well. And it's crazy. It's good. Everything's looking up. And then we believe in freedom of speech. And then we also now believe in like canceling freedom of speech, canceling people who have thoughts and opinions that aren't in line with what we think they should think, which is also crazy, which is like, so I feel like America's like, any other country right now, like India with just like a Gucci belt on. It just seems like nicer, bigger, cleaner, but it's all the same.
Yeah, it's really not. Man, you really got me when we were at Haystack, when we were playing that game. You like really stumped me. And when I was like, shit, I can't answer this. I don't know.
Wait, which game?
You were like, I forgot. It was like this design question you asked me, like this train of thought where you were like asking me questions. I think it was like, okay, if you formed your own island, how would you govern it? And then I like would answer, and then you would throw more questions. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm stuck.
No, maybe I was trying to get you to become a capitalist.
Yeah, maybe you were.
I try to do that. Yeah. Anyway, let's get started. Today we have a very special guest, my friend Tiffany Tang, who is a ceramicist, an artist, She got her BFA in art history and studio art in San Francisco. And then you got your MFA in ceramics from RISD. It's fucking awesome. That's where we met. Yeah.
That is where we met. Well, we didn't meet at RISD. Well, we kind of did.
We met because of it. That's true. We met because of RISD. Because of RISD. Yeah. Let's start there. Like that trip we took. So there's a trip that happens once a year, I think, where a bunch of students are picked at random and taken to this beautiful place in Maine called Deer Isle or whatever. And Deer Isle, Haystack School of Craft, right? Mm-hmm. Or is it Haystack School of Art? There you go. Already.
I think it's craft because I remember they put a lot of emphasis on craft.
Yeah, that's their whole thing. Haystack Mountain School of Crafts, Deer Isle, Maine. Yeah, beautiful.
It's a beautiful place.
Oh my God. Beautiful. It's like when I reached there, I finally understood why people, really love Maine. Like I want to move there. And I remember just going from the canteen and the kitchen and the dining hall to our rooms. We just saw a couple of deers hanging out.
Yeah.
In Deer Isle.
But I feel like Deer Isle is like the best part of Maine. I've been to other parts of Maine and it's like very different than Deer Isle. So
okay. Like good different or like bad different?
Oh, just different. Like not like Deer Isle is so like majestic. You're on this like island where behind you there's like trees and huge boulders. And then in front of you, there's cliffs and ocean. It's like you get everything in this tiny little space. And like in the morning, it's covered in mist. And then at night, you can see like 1,000 stars. But like, I mean, that's just like, it was amazing. I mean, I don't know how the Haystack School of Crafts got started.
Haystack Mountain School of Crafts.
Mountain School of Crafts. Yeah. Whoever started it did a good job.
Oh yeah, the architecture is just like it's beautiful, and it really makes you appreciate what a controlled population or controlled number of people can get you, and so that makes me understand American politics of immigration. And you should have less people in the country now. I'm just kidding. But it's beautiful. It's like it's beautiful, and they're against growth. They're against growing the number of students as well because they think that'll impact the environment, which is nice. Because I think they designed it, like all the buildings they designed around the architecture or the landscape, so they wouldn't like impact it. And I think they just decided to cap off students so that they never had to expand, which is really nice. I'd love to like spend a semester there, just like.
Me too.
Doing metal work. And what was your best? So what we did over there was like just to, whoever's listening to this, we had workshops and you and I had fun in the weaving
backstrap,
not bootstrap. I turned it into bootstrap. I'll tell you why.
Did you?
But we did the backstrap weaving and there was like metal spoon smithing and
I didn't get to do the metal one.
It was fun.
Yeah, I didn't get to do that one.
Yeah. Which ones did you do?
I did, besides the backstrap one, I did the arm weaving with Jim Drain.
Yeah, okay.
Who's a professor at RISD too, but I didn't meet him until we were there.
Oh.
I don't remember the other ones.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
It was the weaving one was super fun. And I never weaved before. And it was interesting to learn all about like the warp, what's the warp and all of those, weaving. Lingo.
I know.
And
wait, but didn't you like weave after too?
Yes. So I turned backstrap and I bootstrapped it and I turned my table into the weaving thing for my thesis. And I weaved a blanket made out of plastic. Yeah.
Yes, I remember. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, that's exactly what we talked about that one night where we like stayed up and talked about our work and our thesis and stuff. I was like, oh, he did it.
Yeah. That was, so the Mountain School of Craft, it was an amazing experience. And I love everybody. Love the whole group. It was such a nice mix of people.
It was a good group.
Yeah, it's great. Mm-hmm. Anyway, So, I'm like a fake artist because
No, you're not. What is a fake artist?
I have a lot of like, what's that called? It's that syndrome where you don't believe that you are capable.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, there you go. Like apparently 80% of artists have imposter syndrome.
I have that too.
Yeah, I'm totally in the 80. And a lot of the times I feel like, I don't belong here. Like, and my like non-design background really doesn't help. And so you studied art history and studio art. So like, how was your experience there, and what made you shift to like one material and ceramics?
Well, okay. So when I started being like an artist or studying art, let's just put that. When I started studying art, I was 22 in my undergrad. Mm-hmm. So I stayed in undergrad for so long because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. Like I did so many different things. Like I studied archaeology for a while. My dream was to be like Indiana Jones for a little bit.
Hell yeah.
And right. And I was all set to like go on this trip to Belize for a summer to go excavate a Mayan temple with my professor, who was one of like the leading experts on Mayan archaeology at the time. This was when I was studying in LA. I went to school in LA for a little bit, but then my sister was like, no, you can't go to Belize. You can't go, blah, blah, blah. And like scared my parents. And so they stopped me and I never got to go. And so that ended that dream. And then after that, I think I went like all over the place. I studied chemistry for a while. Like, I don't know why, but I studied chemistry for a while. I studied English for a little bit. I studied anthropology, like cultural anthropology. And then I just decided that I needed to change and like really figure out my life. Cause I was getting older. So I left LA and then I moved back to the Bay Area. And then I went to San Francisco State, like I transferred there. I decided to start studying with art history because I'd always loved the stories behind the work. Mm-hmm. That's kind of why I loved archaeology too, was because a lot of what you learn is not just like, you're not just looking at the artifact, although that's part of it, but you're learning about the history behind it, the people who made it, like the culture and everything. And so like art history, I really loved because not only have I always loved art and design, but being able to study the history behind all these objects and like the lives of these artists was what really interested me, and more so than just like the art. But when I was an art history major, they needed me to do a studio like elective. At that time, clay, maybe still now, I don't really know, but at that time, clay was like not cool. Everyone wanted to take everyone wanted to do painting or like 2D art studios, mostly painting, I feel like. So since I was a transfer, I had last choice, and clay was the only studio open. And I remember thinking like, oh shit, I don't want to do clay. Like that's so lame.
Yeah.
And then I had to take it. And then when I took it, it was just like an intro to clay class. But I was like, oh shit, this is the first time I'm making something 3D, because I had always tried to do art throughout my life, but it was always like 2D stuff. Like I did pastel drawings, I did watercolor drawings and like painting and stuff, but it didn't like satisfy me, and I wasn't that good at it. Like I couldn't think in 2D really. So then when I started doing clay, I was like, oh my God, I can do this. Like I realized then my mind works in a 3D sense. Mm-hmm. And like even now, when I do try to do like 2D stuff, it is still really challenging. But if I were to do like woodworking or glass blowing or things like that, it's really easy for me to pick up how it would work and how I can like form those things, because it's like a 3D thing. But it just kind of became like really addicting, clay. And I think a lot of people who do clay would have like the similar kind of origin story. It's like when you first start making things with clay, therapeutic, but also it's kind of just amazing and addictive to be able to form something out of your hands.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's, you're like, I'm getting like flashbacks from my childhood. Like I was always into painting, but I was never good. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like
mm-hmm.
I would only do abstract because I couldn't do realistic. Like unless I was like copying a painting or looking at something that was already being done. And then I was really good at I was good at building things. Like I wanted to create in terms of like also like a 3D thing. That's the thing. But I never thought of it that way. Like I didn't have the mental capacity to articulate that you're like a 3D designer, not a 2D artist. You're a 3D artist. But my version of that was like I'm really good at introducing my body into the creating process. So my mind straight went to like, oh my God, like all I'm gonna end up doing is like becoming a construction worker. Like not that anything's wrong with that, but like I didn't think that industrial design was a thing. I didn't think product design was a thing. I just thought products were something that manufacturers just churned out and you just buy it. Right? And art is just like either you're a musician or you're like you're in film school or whatever. You're a painter, you're a graphic designer, digital or whatever. But then I had to go through this whole journey of like studying economics and then getting into consulting because I wanted to like, wear the suit and tie and then have fancy car and go in and tell companies, do that and then make the money. But then it's so incredibly boring. It's like the complete opposite. It's like geek capital where everybody's just like nerding out on numbers and shit. And I'm like, this is not me. So I took a break and I was like, okay, really what I want to do is, and then I discovered industrial design. I was like, this is like a good mix of everything.
Yeah, I feel like it really suits you.
Yeah.
But I also feel like as a designer, you are more on like the artistic end of design.
I think so. My department thought so. They gave me like the artistic award at the end.
Oh, really?
They were like, his design looks like art pieces. That's the award.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing that they did.
It was nicer than that. It was more about like aesthetics. But I feel like I'm more on it's a spectrum, like art and design.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Yeah.
There's no like hard line or difference. And I feel I might be more towards the artistic side. And maybe there are artists that are more towards the, engineering or ID side. Yeah.
For sure.
But like my first 3D art introduction was in the ceramic studio as well. Like I took ceramic and sculpture in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so like, do you like, you kind of seem like, you really thought it out. You really tested the water before really getting into something, which I really appreciate, which is nice. And a lot of people feel like they don't have the time to do that. They have to get into the rat race immediately, but like you have time. Relax. You're 18. Yeah.
I hated that mentality.
Yeah. Like I need to know what to do. You have time. It's okay. But when you got into ceramics, did you like fall in love with clay immediately, or do you have like a love-hate relationship with it?
I for sure have a love-hate relationship. Even now, it's been like, I don't know, almost 10 years. And I still love-hate pretty equally, I feel like. But it took me, it was exciting when I first started it in that intro class, but that intro class, so it was like 16 weeks, right? Semester long. Most of that time was hand building. And I was like, okay, this is cool. This is fun. But it wasn't like mind blowing. It wasn't until the last 2 or 3 weeks of the class that we went onto the wheel and did like throwing. That's when I was like, this is my jam. This I can do for the rest of my life. And I don't know, it just kind of felt like, when you live your life and you feel like there's this answer that you've always tried to look for. You don't know what it is. You don't know what it's about, but you just know you're looking for something. that's what clay was for me. And then it was just kind of like, wow. So then when I did the wheel throwing at the end of that first intro class, then I decided I'm going to just take ceramic classes. I'm going to just do ceramics. And at the time I was dating this guy who was in clay too. And he didn't want me to take ceramic classes because he didn't want me to be like in the studio all the time.
Canceled.
But he was canceled. I was like, fuck that. So I just, I like literally dedicated my whole life to it. And when I'm into something, I get so into it, like overly passionate probably, but it's like, I just want to know everything about it. I want to like dive deep, learn as much about it as I can. And that's what I did for years and years and years. I don't know, like 3 years, I think. I just kind of worked basically 24/7, not to like glorify that, because I'm really trying not to like be so manic in work stuff. But I was just like so addicted to learning about ceramics because there's so many different things, like different materials, different firing temperatures, different firing techniques. And I felt like a lot of all of that in ceramics was and still is being gatekept, I don't know, by secrets. White men. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so at the time I was just like, that's not fair. I was
Where
like,
were
I can
you?
do it
This
too.
was in San Francisco?
This was at San Francisco State.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I just kind of like had no social life, but I learned a lot in those first 3 years.
You don't have social life in art school? Who has social
even
life?
especially at RISD, like we have no social life.
Have time.
Time.
Some of the things that you were saying, it's like, I feel the same way in ID. It's like all that chatter in my head about like, where do I want to be? Like even in my office cubicle, I was like, this is not what I want to like. This is not, But then once I went to RISD, I was like surrounded by people who were similar and I was like, this is the process that I like and this is what I wanted to do. And there was this sense of like belonging finally, like, yes.
Yeah.
You understand me. And and I feel like sometimes, you can get passionate and I want to shout at, my blank canvas, be like, become something, become my emotions. And it can be overwhelming. And I don't know. So I want to get into that with you. Like in a recent Instagram story, you had mentioned.
Oh, no. Yeah.
But you mentioned, you talk a lot about like, punishing yourself as an artist, and there's something that you battle with. And I think that's something that all of us, like a lot of us battle with. And because it's only because we have high expectations of ourselves. And, we think, especially me, I think I have to be the best at everything that I do.
Same. Yeah.
And it's so hard with doing something, especially like this podcast. It's like, this is the long game, friend. Like you're not, this podcast, you're not going to get listeners in a month, this is like a year thing. So it's hard for me to like go through that. And I'm having this like artistic crisis running this podcast where every night I'm like, oh my God, like, why am I doing this? So embarrassing. Like I'm screaming myself talking like a poser out into the world, expecting that people want to listen to this. Like, yeah, but like, whatever. I feel like it's important to discuss these things, but I am in a space where I don't know how to deal with those emotions, like I just go back and forth between feeling like shit and wanting to quit to like, I got this, like, and usually it takes me 3 cups of coffee to get there. But how do you deal with that? Like, how do you?
Honestly, okay. So like you said, I have like 2 extremes. I feel like I'm just such an extreme person. Like sometimes I wish I wasn't, but it's just, it's like, okay. And so my 2 extremes are, I totally have that imposter syndrome where I feel like I don't belong where I'm at, or I like, even though I work towards these goals, the things that I'm getting from it, I always feel like part of me is like, I don't deserve this. And I don't know where that comes from, but it is like just so stressful sometimes to feel like I put so much pressure on myself to be the best. And I feel like, you know, people come to my studio, or people used to come to my studio and they would like see my workout, right? And they would just they'd say really nice things, because who goes to your studio and like talk shit to you? But like they say nice things like, oh, this is really nice, or this is so perfect, or you're so good.
Yeah.
And it's always like, thank you. But also it's like, I see things that's wrong with the stuff that no one else sees. And so I always wish I could just not, like, I could unsee it sometimes just so that I could live a little easier. But because I see those things, it just adds so much more stress and time to the work that I do. But
do you also feel like they do see it, but they're not telling you?
It's totally possible. But
that's where I am. It's like they do see this as shit, but they're not telling me. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no. So what I've learned how to deal with it by having really amazing friends who pull me out. Like friends that I truly deeply trust with like who I really am, like my dark secrets, who I am when I'm just like being really embarrassing and like laughing at myself. They understand how much of myself I put into my work. And they also understand how like mean I am to myself. And so when they see me I'm like struggling, or if I go to them and I say like, dude, I'm fucked up right now. Like, I don't say that easily, you know, like when I'm struggling, most of the time I can just struggle on my own. But when it's really bad, I will say something to like the very few people I trust, and they will always pull me out. And that's how I've been able to like get by in the last couple of years, because before that, when I didn't really have that, it was really hard. And I felt like it like really deteriorated my mental state. But once I learned how to rely on a few people who like I knew loved me, and I knew like valued my work and like saw what I wanted the work to be, they're not just going to like bullshit me and tell me it's good if it's not good, you know?
Yeah.
So when I was able to do that, I have some really good people around me that can support me and be like this show that I'm preparing for right now. Like I was just talking to someone about it where I was like, I feel like, you know, I don't deserve to be in this show because I didn't apply for it. They found me and they asked me to be in it, which is amazing. But in my mind, I automatically went to, oh shit, okay, I need to make a whole new body of work so that they can choose from it. And then I just like put so much pressure on myself. And my friend was like, dude, I can tell you're not having fun. Like your energy isn't there. You're like kind of struggling and suffering. And you're putting that into the work. And like, she pulled me out and she was just like, they chose you because they like your work. Like you don't have to make all new work. You can include new work and old work. But like, you know, she could see me going through going down this like deep hole.
Yeah.
But she pulled me out, and I'm so grateful for like having friends that can do that. Cause I didn't for such a long time. Like in the first, how long has it been? In the first like 6 or 7 years of my career, almost, I had no one to do that. So now I'm just like eternally grateful that I met them all at RISD too, which is like amazing. So.
Yeah, I think that's important because like they selected you based on your current body of work. That's why you got this opportunity in the first place. But yeah, I totally understand. And, you know, my creative process isn't the most, you know, mentally sustainable, one might say, you know. I put a lot of pressure on myself to do the best and only the best. And I also feel that, how do I say this? I work best under the scenario where I am alone and I'm suffering And I maybe fool myself into believing that nobody cares. And that's when I have like, I churn out work that's like, I really like, right?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that goes back to when, so I've been playing the guitar for like about 10, 12 years now. Can't remember, like from the 7th grade. And, we used to be in a band, and all of my friends, like, this is by like how serendipitous, and we all lived in the same neighborhood. We went to the same school, and we all formed the school band. And all of us, I was okay, I was good, but then there was a couple, like the drummer and the lead guitarist. They're incredible, and they're professional musicians right now. And so we were at a spot where we were performing and we were writing original songs. We were doing well. And I would, it's like the rock star thing, kind of. We were not rock stars at all, but like it's the musician thing to like be alone and write and then play, and then your pain is your art, your pain is your song. Like all the famous songs are like about breakups, right? Like, so I think I've brought that along into the 3D art space, where I feel like I can't create an industrial design project or like can't conceptualize it, because with industrial design, sometimes the projects are like speculative. So you take a topic and you create this like thing that'll cause or create a discourse and a conversation. And I feel like I need to be in that musician space to like write the script and make the thing or whatever. But that's not
so you work better alone when you can feel like, you always want to make it yourself feel like people don't care, so that you can make things freely without having to worry about what people think.
So so where does this end? I don't know. So what I do is I go into a dark hole, and I'm like, yes, I'm making now all the pain into the piece, and then I make the piece, I bring it out, I'm like, here it is, do you like it? I seek out that approval, and then I fool myself into thinking that it's shit, so I can go back into that space, because I never want to be comfortable. Never want to be comfortable enough.
Totally.
Yeah, I think there's a delicate balance to having a healthy process of making and also feeling that you can do better.
I agree. Because that thing you said about like never wanting to be comfortable, I feel like that's such a, has such a strong presence in my studio practice. Cause it's like, I never want, well, first with clay, you can't really be comfortable anyway, because your shit will just crack apart and break. But also it's like, I'm someone who's like always wants to improve. I feel like maybe because of all the things that I've gone through, like a lot of the suffering that I put into my work, like it has a purpose, right? So it's like, I kind of live my life thinking that everything I'm going through has a purpose. Either I learn from it and I grow, or, I mean, that's it. There's no or. Like everything I go through, I will learn from it and grow. That's the goal. So it's like in my work, I feel like that's really strong, because I don't want to be one of those people that gets so like satisfied with what I make and then just like keep making that for the rest of my life. And I don't know if you've noticed, but like in my work, if you look at my portfolio, I don't like do the same thing for long periods of time. Cause I personally can't stand looking at it. If I just keep doing it over and over, it's kind of stagnant to me. And it's just like an artist, like your life, your art reflects your life. And if my life is always changing, I'm always going through something else, I'm always learning something else and becoming a new person, I would want my work to also change all the time. Yeah. But that also makes it really hard and challenging and tiring.
Absolutely. But that goes back to like your how you found yourself into becoming a ceramicist, like your appreciation for archaeology and anthropology. It's like you appreciate the life of the artist, so now you're embodying that, and you're.
That's true.
But then it's like, then you should just go out and live your life and have faith that the art's gonna create itself by you just living your best life. But then it's hard to do that.
It's hard. Yeah, like that's the goal. That's like ideal, right? Ideal, we all live our best lives, because if your work reflects your life, you want to live your life and have like great work. So that's the hard part, is because I am such a workaholic. I am so hard on myself in the studio that I get into a space where I'm like, no, I need to work on this. Otherwise it won't get done, or it won't be good, or whatever. And like, if I do manage to get myself out of the studio, like I would just have immense guilt and I wouldn't be able to enjoy what I'm even doing. Now it's a little different because COVID changed things for, I think, everyone, where we all realize life is a lot more than work. And like, you know, with the hard times we had in 2020 and are still having now in 2021, I think a lot more people are prioritizing mental health and like just trying to go out into the world and like be happy. So now it's easier for me to do that. But like, say like back pre-COVID, it was almost impossible. Like I literally would work on like holidays. I would work like 24/7, 365. Like at least go into the studio and like work on holidays, work on birthdays, work on Christmas, like at least for a little bit. And it just was not good for me mentally. And like, I lost so many friends, like, so people I still deeply care about, like you said, that I just like, I'm not in touch with anymore, because I literally would just deny everyone in my life and just be in the studio all the time. And like, yes, those years, like, I learned so much and was able to like grow a lot technically. But I mean, when I look back at the work I was making, it's so empty to me because I wasn't living a life.
Yeah. Because I'm sure as an artist, it's what you believe in your life and your experiences that, like it affects your work. But if you're always working, you're not experiencing the things that will make your work great. But yeah, two things. All right. Like, what's fucked up about the saying that when you do what you love, you never have to work a day in your life?
I hate that saying.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but then if you do what you love, you always want to do what you love, so you're always working, and that can get to somebody. So like when you step into your studio, what kind of a headspace are you in? Are you like amping yourself up, like, all right, let's go make some great shit today? Or are you like, I wonder, let me experiment. I wonder what I'm going to come up with today.
I feel like when I go into the studio, most of the time, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like even now, I mean, I would say I'm pretty experienced when it comes to clay. I've done so many different things and tried so many different techniques and everything because I wanted to be able to teach it. So I like learned all these things, not for my own work, but like, so I could teach people. But I still come into my studio every day and I'm most of the time am just like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. So let's just see how I feel. And some days I feel like making, and some days I just want to like sit here at my desk and do something super tedious and painstakingly, like, I don't know the word. I just blank, but something that would take like forever.
Yeah. No, I see that. And it's like, and it's hard what you do. I see your stories where you're like painstakingly carving a million flowers. And I'm like, that's not me. That is not.
Yeah. I know. I tend to do those things a lot because it's like I'm in the studio, but I don't know what to do, but I can focus on this one thing that I know will take up my time. And then I can just kind of like block everything out because like I do have so much anxiety about everything. And a lot of times it's so hard for me to turn my mind off. So like there are moments where I need to just focus on something like that. Like when we were at RISD, I was like kiln manager for the department. And so my studio was like in the middle of the whole department. And like, oh my God, there were so many times where I would be trying to work and people would come in with questions that I would have to answer or help with because I was the kiln manager. So there's like so many times where I was at RISD where I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like I needed to hide. So I had a chair, like a really low chair that hid me behind one of my studio desks. Like even the people that shared my studio didn't know I was there if I sat there.
Yeah.
And so I would sit there with my headphones on and then I would just like paint like a million dots on a pot. Mm-hmm. And it would just be like just a way for me to like focus my anxiety, I guess.
I've seen that.
So I do need to do that.
Yeah, it's an incredible piece. I've seen that one. And I know that you've hand painted those dots, and that makes me very like uncomfortable. I'm like, because it's so much attention and work. And I'm like, wow, that's like, this is a piece, you know, but I feel like that's meditation though. You're meditating through that. And I feel like I need to shut my brain off as well at times. And because there's a lot of like things going on and sometimes it's just like, I don't want to think about it. And so I got into print making. So I'm now like carving linoleum blocks and like making prints. Wait, I can show you something.
How do you like it? I did that before.
I love it. This is like what I did.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Isn't carving so fun?
Oh my God. Yes.
Right?
So great.
It's so meditative.
It's so great. I love the process. I never took a printmaking class, but I always wanted to. But yeah, this is fun. And it's also like meditation, and the meditation reminds me of this thing. Were you ever like a smoker? Like cigarettes? No. I used to smoke cigarettes. All right. And I learned that cigarette smoking, why it's so hard is because it's meditation. Because you're not just trying to quit nicotine, you're trying to quit 5 things. You're trying to quit nicotine. You're trying to quit oral fixation. You're trying to quit dealing with your problems, because that's a way to deal. So that's like, you know, you had a shit day at work, you go out for a smoke break. And I forgot what the other thing was, but it's also like, it's your way to like blow off some steam. So you're trying to quit all of these things at the same time. And so that's why it's so hard to kick the habit. Because it's meditation.
I didn't realize that. Yeah. I mean, I smoked when I was like drunk when I was young, but it was like not a regular thing. So I never experienced the meditation part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the last one was the act of the smoke coming out of your mouth.
Oh yeah.
Gotta love that.
But you can get that with other things.
Hashtag dragon breath. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to ask you about what led up to, because it's, first of all, it's kick-ass that you, during the pandemic, graduated, went back home and built yourself a studio that you're sitting in currently. You built it with your own hands.
My hands and my dad's hands.
And your dad's hands. And now you're like creating in that space, which is like very inspiring and almost like such an I don't want to say this, but it's like you're so ID in some ways.
What?
The only thing that's stopping you from being ID is your love for just one material. You know?
Two things.
Yeah.
One, I don't get why. Second, I love wood too. I do woodworking too, but like, I haven't.
No, I'm mostly kidding, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like It's maybe because industrial designers are like not tagged. I don't know what I am. Like I have a degree, but I really don't. I still don't know. So I keep tagging everybody as industrial designers, but it should be the other way around. Like people should tag me as something because I am nothing. I'm like I'm the untitled piece. Industrial designers are the untitled piece in the
untitled piece.
Yeah. It's like we're not committed to a material, whatever. We're just trying to solve problems and make things. But yeah. But yeah, what led up to this whole thing that you did?
Well, so we both graduated during a pandemic, which I don't really know how, because that was really hard.
Yeah,
like,
I blocked mentally.
I blocked out a lot.
Yeah,
I was drunk most of the time. So yeah, like I think we were all really struggling for those months from when they kicked us out of studio to like all the times that they were like, oh, you still might have a show, so keep making work without any studio access or any help.
Yeah.
But you still might have a show.
They're still doing that. You still might have a commencement. You still might have a commencement.
My God, I blocked the emails. I don't want to know. I'm done with RISD forever. I'm never going back. But I was just like, so, okay, because let me tell you, I literally had a crit, I think 2 or 3 days before all the like pandemic stuff started, right? Like when they were starting to talk about kicking us out, I just had a crit where I met with my advisors and the people on my committee, and I showed them what I was doing for my thesis. I had it all planned out. All I had to do was make it. But it was like, you know, really, I was in a really good place. Momentum was good. I was just like, yes, I'm doing this. This feels right. And then I started making one of the pieces, and then they were like, okay, just kidding. Goodbye forever. You can never come back. And then I just kind of was like, oh, okay. So I shut off everything for like 3 months or whatever. Like I literally, for my thesis, I don't know if I should say this out loud to you on a recorded podcast, but I will.
I can cut it. I can cut it out.
Okay. I mean, yeah. So my thesis, I did that 10 days before I had to present it. The way I did it was I literally was like, I know I need to make a thesis book for graduation, but I'm going to just make it my thesis. Like I'm going to make that the project. Mm-hmm. So I made my book the work where so all my work is named after songs, either titles or lyrics in the song or something. And so I put the titles in like on a page in the front, and it made a poem. And then I just kind of I showed the pieces according to that poem. And that was it. That was my thesis, which is so off base of what I was originally going to do, where I had this whole installation. I had this whole plan for like a 3D landscape with different like I was literally building like a landscape painting from the ground up, like a hand tufted rug I was planning on.
Wow.
And tables. I know. And like I had these tables that were going to be like walnut and maple that were like different heights. And then I was building like cloud pedestals out of clay, and I was going to have like work to put on all of it. And what it was going to be like this open space where I would invite people like for one day out of the 10 days it opened. So 10 different gatherings, and they could come and use the space. And then we would just like eat, talk about things, like people I felt like at RISD were important to me. And I was actually thinking of inviting you for one of those days because of like the Haystack stuff that we did.
Yeah.
And like, it was going to be like my therapist, like all these things. And I ended up with a freaking book that like no one saw.
Yeah, the pandemic robbed us of that experience. Like I also wanted to do a lot of the things, and I ended up writing a book as well.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, did you enjoy the process of making that book? Do you think that it is a work on its own though? It's different though.
I do. I think that was really fun. Like for those 10 days, I was like alive.
Yeah.
Whereas before that I wasn't, like in quarantine, I was just, life was so like repetitive. But for those 10 days where I was working on it, I had a lot of fun because actually there was like one time in my life where I wanted to be a graphic designer, but like I never did. But that was like really fun. I was like, oh, this is really fun making and designing a book and like choosing typefaces and colors, which, you know, I'm all about. So that was really fun. I really did enjoy doing that. But for a long time, I think I couldn't get over everything that we lost. Like I don't talk about it too much because it's at the end of the day, like it's just kind of work. Like people in the pandemic are losing their lives, their homes, they can't eat. So I don't want to like talk about this other thing that we lost, but I do think that it does come out in my mind when I'm working sometimes. Like I try to compensate for things that I didn't get to do in our thesis. Yes, it's just a thesis, but like for some of us, we've been working towards that for more than just the time we were at grad school. You know, it was like a goal that we had to do this thing. So after that, I moved home. I moved across the country. I moved back to California because I was set up to do like a studio manager job at a clay and wood studio in San Francisco. And I was supposed to teach a class at my undergrad, San Francisco State. So I moved here to do that. But because of the pandemic, all those things didn't work out. So I was just like living at my parents' house and being like, well, what am I going to do? So thankfully, my parents live in like the suburbs in the East Bay, and they have like a pretty big backyard. And so I asked them if I could build a studio. And at first I thought they were really just going to say no, but I came like prepared. I was like, I got plans. This is what it's going to take. And like, this is how big it will be. And I think my dad was super excited to do it because he's an engineer and he's the type of person that like needs a project. He needs something to do. He needs to keep busy. Like he'll never retire.
Yeah.
But like, he was really excited to do it. And I was shocked, but they let me. And so it was really fun. And it was also really meaningful for me to be able to build it with my dad, with my mom helping sometimes too. But it was like I was always gone. Since I turned 18, I left. Right. And I was just like all over the place. Like in 10 years, I think I moved 8 times. And so I just was never really here. And now my parents are getting old. And like all the other kids are like, they're gone or have families and stuff. And so it was really meaningful for me to be able to come back here during the pandemic, spend time with my family and like build this thing. And, you know, I got Asian parents. They wanted me to be a lawyer since I was like 5, because I don't know, they say I'm good at arguing, but whatever. So it was just like really touching to me. But they were like, yeah, let's build you a studio. It's like really supportive. I think it's their way of showing support for my career because they don't really understand what I do. Like they don't get it. If I said I got into an international show in Korea, I was invited, they'd be like, that's great. But they don't really know what that means. And if I was like, oh, I have a solo show at a gallery, that would be like a huge accomplishment in my career. But they would just be like, that's great, you know, but it's like they wouldn't know. So I think this was their way of being like, we support you. And so that's how the studio came about. And now I'm making work in it, which is just, I don't know, really crazy.
Yeah. And that's like, it's a very big blessing to have supportive parents. And I think
it is.
And it's awesome that your dad helped you build this house or the studio.
Mm-hmm.
How was it? Like, what's the process? How do you go about building a house? Like, how do you do that?
Well, so we started with the foundation. That's how you start. Damn. And then you just like put the walls up, put the roof up.
Wait. Okay. So like, hold on. It's just you and your dad, right? Did you hire help? How was that?
My dad would not let us.
That's fucking awesome. Respect for your dad for that. It was like, hey, let's figure this out. How deep was the foundation that you had to dig?
We just had to level it out a little bit. We didn't dig that deep. And then because we figured out a way to like have it sit up on supports. and stuff, because this isn't the first foundation my dad built. He built another foundation on another side of our backyard for like the storage unit. Mm-hmm. So by the time we did my foundation, he's like, oh, I know what to do. This is the easier way to do it. So we did it.
Yeah.
And
Still so great.
Yeah.
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 What comes after that?
The walls.
All right. Okay.
So then the walls, but it's like, it's kind of cheating because I did order the walls as a kit. So like it got delivered in like panels. So it was like 4 feet panels with like the interior frame already in. Cause like I don't have a wood shop. And so I was like, I can't actually like cut all that wood up and like put it all together. And so the walls came and we had to like put them together and figure out like how they fit. And then we put the roof up and we put the roof shingles on, which was really fun to learn how to do. Like it was kind of funny because so many of my clay skills like translated, and I was like, oh, I know how to do this, or I would be able to do this because I do this in clay. And my dad kept like doubting me. He'd be like, I don't know if you can do this. Like, well, I'm like, no, watch me, Dad. I'm so good at what I do. I can definitely do this. But yeah, it was just kind of crazy. The longest actually was painting. Painting was a pain in the ass. So
it's incredible. Like I wouldn't even like it. It's awesome that your dad knows what he's doing, and then he
learned it all from YouTube. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I learned everything from YouTube. I know designing on computers from it.
Yeah, right. YouTube University.
There you go. That's it. I mean, we always had, I think, Alex, who's my friend, he's been on this podcast. And we always talk about like a group of us from RISD can build a house from scratch. Like, given like we have access to shops and stuff, we can like cut down trees and build a house. We can do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing. Like you get a group of artists and designers together, dude, you don't know what we could do.
There you go. One day, maybe we can build a bunch of houses in downtown LA, Skid Row.
Awesome. Yeah. We should just get us the funding and we'll do that.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Okay. So, let's get into Zodiacs.
Okay.
Why are you so interested in that?
It's funny that you ask me now, because now I'm like at the tail end of it.
Okay. Take us through the journey. I want to understand.
Okay.
Because going into it, my basic understanding was just like, I am Sagittarius because I'm born in November and I want to be free and not tied down. That was my identity. But then
and you're into philosophy and cults, which happened to be true.
There you go. Yeah.
And I was like,
okay, good. It's not me. It's my Zodiac.
It's not just
sign.
you. It's Yeah. It's funny because when I first started really getting into it, remember when we were at Haystack? I forgot who brought it up, but someone brought up the app, The Pattern. I feel like maybe it was
Victoria.
KP.
Oh, okay.
Or Victoria. Okay. Yeah, one of them brought up the app. And like before that, I knew about it because one of my studio mates was really into it. And I was like, yeah, okay. I kind of knew. But then it was when we downloaded, it was like our last day. We were driving back to Providence, but we stopped on the way for lunch. And then I downloaded the app and I read through it and I was like, this is insane. It felt like so accurate and was like therapy in your phone. And so I was like, oh my God, I need to know more about this because of course, when I like something, I get so passionate about it and I need to learn everything about it. Like I said, like it gets insane. So that's what I did. I learned so much about it. Like I read books about it. I listened to like podcasts about it. I like watched YouTube videos about it. And I just got really into it. So into it that actually when I was working at Coworks at RISD, one of the things that I offered people to sign up time with me was for birth chart readings. And it wasn't even my idea. It was because my boss was like, you're really good at this. You should do this. And I was like, okay. No one ever took me up on it, sadly. But I was getting paid to do that.
Birth chart readings. Okay. So there's like so much. First, talk about like the moons and the things. You said you're not just Sagittarius, you have like a rising sun, setting moon.
Yeah. You have your sun sign, which is like the month you're born, right? Like you're a Sagittarius.
Right. Okay.
And then you have your moon sign. Your moon sign is how you process your emotions, kind of. It's like your emotional side of you. And it comes out
so
when you're like,
you can pick your moon sign.
No, you can't pick. You can't pick any of it. What it is, so your birth chart, you need your birthplace, your birthday, and the time, because then from that info, it shows you a chart of what the planets were doing, like where the planets were at the time of your birth. And that's how these things are determined.
Okay. I get it. Right.
Yeah. There's like, it's like degrees. It's like a lot of math and like geometry to figure out if you go really in depth, but yeah.
So I am on this website called cafeastrology.com, and I put in my birthday and my exact birth time, which I think it is. And I've put in my city. Not Russia. No.
No.
Not Russia. Calcutta. All right. Submit. Okay. My moon sign is Taurus. You have moon in Taurus.
Okay. What's your rising sign?
What? Wait. What does that mean?
Okay, let's start with your moon sign.
So I was
your
born.
Moon sign is you're a Taurus.
I'm apparently, yeah. Moon sign Taurus, sun sign Sagittarius.
Okay. So your moon sign is kind of like your emotional, like how you would process emotions, and also what people see when they're like you're super comfortable with them, you're really close with them, like at home chilling or something.
Right. Okay. I see.
Yeah. So Taurus is an earth sign.
Yes. And Sagittarius, I think, is a fire sign.
Fire sign.
Yeah. There you go.
My moon is a Sagittarius, actually.
There you go. It's a dangerous sign. It's a fun sign. It's a dangerous.
It's fun, but it's dangerous.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. It's a fine balance.
Yeah. It's a balance. Definitely.
Yeah.
What was the rising thing you said though? What is that?
So it's like your rising sign or your ascendant is how people see you. The first impression that you give to the world. And I used to not think it was that important, but I learned later on that it actually can also represent like who you're meant to become. Like the older you get, I guess, the more of these traits that you embody. So like when you get older, you might associate with that sign more than your moon sign, for example.
I see. So do you, and you said you're at the tail end, so your fascination is like slowly dwindling.
It's kind of gone. Yeah.
Why is that?
Like, I don't know. This is what happens. I think it's probably a Sagittarius thing, to be honest, but it's just like, like I get really into things and then like, I want to learn everything I can. And then once I feel satisfied or I feel like, yes, I've got a good grasp on this, then I move on to the next thing. Not to say that I'm like not interested anymore, but it's just kind of like, what's next?
You're like speaking to my soul here. That is what I do.
The Sagittarius thing. I know, but that's what's crazy is because it's like, I still believe that it is extremely accurate, but like, I just kind of don't read about it anymore. Like I don't look at Instagram posts about it anymore. Like if my friends talk about it, I still know what they're talking about, but I don't follow what the planets are doing anymore. Like I used to. And now I just don't. And now I think it's just the tail end and I don't know what the next thing will be, but there will be a next thing.
Yeah. I mean, back then, like definitely a year ago, it was like the golden age where everybody was obsessed with Zodiac. I think it's dying out on like a bigger realm
on a bigger
as well.
scale.
But do you think that it kind of helped you understand who you were
or how you behaved? Yeah, I think that. Did I what?
Did you like kind of change yourself or manage the way you presented yourself?
No, I didn't change myself or present myself any differently. But what it did do was really help me understand who I am. Like, there are things where I knew about myself, but never had the words for how to describe it. And so at the time I was in therapy too. And so I was when I found it or like discovered it. And so because I was in therapy, I was like really in this headspace where I was trying to understand myself with my traumas and who I am today and like why I am the way that I am. And so then when I found birth charts and like the Zodiac stuff, it was really therapeutic in that way too, because it helped me understand like where I was struggling. Because a lot of people who don't understand the birth chart thing, I think they hate on it because they think it's like, here is a guideline of who you're supposed to be. And this is what it is. Like, it's you, if you're Sagittarius, you are this way. But what it really is kind of like, it's a framework for your natural strengths and your natural weaknesses. And it just kind of can help you understand where you need to improve, or if you're struggling with certain parts of your life, this is why, here's how you might be able to fix it. And so like, that's what I really liked about it, because I was going through so much at that time, that it really helped me understand why I was the way I was, why I like craved certain things in life that like I had no other explanation for. So.
Yeah, I think, I can see that. Like, it's, there are so many people who don't have access to therapy, or like it's expensive, or, they're just too young. They don't want to ask their parents whether, they would pay for therapy or whatever. But yeah, it's like this is it, right? Trying to understand who you are. This is why we have so many things in the world. It's just this like search for who am I? Like that question, right?
That's like the most basic question in humanity that like everyone can understand.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the people who got so absorbed into the astrology stuff are the same people who like grew up being like neglected or ignored or like never fit in, because the birth chart things like the astrology really gave them a sense of understanding, of a belonging, of like a community. So
absolutely. Yeah. But I will also say this, that there are people who do take it to the extreme and it becomes like all consuming, where they think that what they read for the day is what's going to happen. It kind of like becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in a bad way. Like
right.
They cannot function without reading the horoscope for the day.
I agree.
I think that is taking it too far. That's beyond understanding yourself. That's like being in a cult, It's like,
yes.
Yeah.
That is like being in a cult.
Yeah. Susan Summers. Who was the astrologer? Susan.
I don't know.
Astrologer. I don't know. My dad's obsessed with her. Susan Miller. Susan Miller. She's really good. I've read her stuff. It's like, whoa, accurate, scary. So thank you.
Yeah, that's what all this stuff is. It's like accurate, scary, not ready for this.
Not ready for this.
Yeah. But the self-fulfilling prophecy is you need balance. Like in anything, you need balance. I feel like. Yeah. Otherwise, it can get a little too much.
Absolutely. You kind of like go up to your partner and be like, we can't be together because Susan Miller said on her Sunday post that I need a fresh.
Our Venus signs are not compatible and we can't be together. It's like we need a divorce. Like you can't do that.
I downloaded the horoscope sign and I put in our signs and it's saying it's not going to happen. So sorry, but
yeah. So bye. Sorry.
So bye. That is not okay. But
yeah.
I totally lost track of what I was going to say. This is what happens. Let's get into, since we're on the topic, let's get into like mental health also right now.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that since everybody's like trying to find themselves, this is the best part of our podcast. Like I can just totally cut that out and not seem like a complete.
I know, that was so great.
Yeah, it's like smooth transition. Here it is.
Yeah.
Since the Zodiac, whatever, is proving to be kind of like cheap therapy, isn't it? Like the poor person's therapy. That is to say that, okay, you talk a lot about the importance of mental health in your work or in everybody's work, and more so the process more than like the work actually.
Yeah.
What do you think how do you think we should navigate that in a world where it's so hard to be heard because there's so much noise online?
Yeah.
Even in Instagram or whatever, there are so many ceramicists, so many designers, and some of them, a lot of them are amazing people who are creating amazing things. A lot of them are not so amazing, but still have like hundreds of thousands of followers. I don't get it. But like, how do you think we should navigate that and still be healthy mentally? It's like hard. It's something that I've been trying, but it's hard to not get carried away in that,
Yeah, seriously. I feel like something I think about a lot is that like I don't have a lot of like my ego in my work. Even though my work comes from me, even though it's like, it comes through from my suffering and my life experiences, I don't make my work to be famous. And I don't make my work to be like, look at this amazing thing that I made. Like I make my work for other people. Like part of it, of course, I do make for myself as like a fulfillment in my life. But if I could, I would give a lot of my work away for free because like I love being able to make other people happy with my work. And then, I don't want to be famous, which is just such like a contradictory thing, I feel like, for artists and designers, because you kind of need to be famous to be successful if you want to live off your work, right? But there's many times in my career where I've had the opportunity where if I had just grabbed it and stayed with it, I would probably be a lot more successful than I am now. But like, I don't exactly know why or understand, but whenever something like that happens to me, I kind of like step away. Like there was after the RISD thesis show, Hyperallergic wrote an article and included me in my work. And that was really cool because it was hyperallergic.
Is that the 25 artists from Yale and RISD one?
Yeah, that article.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool. But also I was just kind of like, oh, I don't want people to find me. So I kind of like disappeared. Like, I don't want people, like, I've been in magazines before. I've been in shows and I've been given awards and like all these things. But when these things happen, I like stay quiet about it, or I like pull myself out of it because I don't want to be famous. Like, I don't want that attention. And I don't know like why exactly. I think about it a lot, that I feel like I wish I had more of a balance of it. Like, I wish I had a little bit more of my ego in it, because then I would be able to have more financial support in my practice. Like, if more people knew about me, more people would be willing to pay for my work. But I don't know, there's something about it that I'm really uncomfortable with, because I don't know. It's just something that scares me. I hate being the center of attention. I always have. And being famous for my work, I feel like changes my work, where it's like puts more expectations on it, or, you know, just a price tag on it or something. And I think a lot of it is wrong. Like the things that I'm thinking, I think are wrong. But I always kind of run away from fame or whatever. Like I don't have a lot of followers on my Instagram, but I've had a lot of like shows. I know a lot of artists. I've done a lot of things in my career where if I had like kept following it, I would have been really successful by now. But there's just so many times where I'm like, I'm uncomfortable in this position and I will leave. Or it's like the community I'm currently in that is giving me this support and fame, quote unquote fame, I'm going to leave because I was uncomfortable and like I didn't want to compromise my work and my practice for that.
What is it exactly? Like, do you think you're gonna open yourself up to criticism that might obviously affect yourself as an artist? Obviously, Instagram followers has nothing to do with how good an artist or designer you are. It's a whole other game on itself.
Yeah.
Right. Like my favorite example is like Chris Taylor, who teaches glass at RISD, had like 200 followers on his page. And then he went on Blown Away. This is like, he's like over 50, right? He's been in the industry for like 30, 40 years. Everybody on that show was like, a lot of the judges on the show were like taught by him. And so after Blown Away, now he has like 15K Instagram followers and is growing every day. And it's like, yeah, he was always renowned in his field. The Instagram thing has nothing to do with it, and I don't think Chris Taylor cares. Like, he doesn't really care. I
don't think he cares.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, but that's just a one-off, right? I don't know. A lot of working artists say that having a big follower and having that optics kind of helps continuing to be a working artist, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I went on your website and saw that you've been like so many shows, like so many. The list is super long, and obviously your work is awesome. But like Chris Taylor, maybe someday, if your work is great, there's no way that you cannot get known. I mean, there are ways, but you might not. Like maybe when you're like 50, you might get famous, so you can't run away from it. But I want to my point is like, I want to get to the bottom of like, why are you like, are you scared of it? Are you disgusted by it? Do you think, what is it exactly?
I think it's both. It's both. Yeah. It's very complicated because I can't figure it out still. I wish I asked my therapist back when I had him because I want to know, but I think it's both. I'm not so much scared of criticism because literally no one can be harder on myself and my work than I am. So it's like, I don't think that there's something that other people could say that like I haven't thought of myself when I see a work. I think it's like, I'm kind of disgusted by it because I saw the extreme example of someone who is so concerned of fame only. And I saw that person do anything and everything they could to become like famous on Instagram and all this stuff. And their work became really empty. Their work became so bland and like something that could just appeal to like the masses. And it changed them as a person too, where it was literally like the way that they made decisions in their life was dictated by what other people would think because they wanted to be famous so badly and wanted everyone to know them. And I know that's like an extreme side of it, but I saw that really up close for a while. Like I saw how being so hungry for fame really kind of destroyed someone. And like, this person that I really cared about and used to really respect became someone I was like embarrassed to even know or like be associated with. And I think part of that really like stuck with me, because like, I don't want to be someone who makes decisions based on fame. I don't want to be someone who makes empty work just to appeal to people. Like, that's why a lot of times people will come to me and ask me to collaborate with them or make things for them. And I'll say no, because it's just like, that's not what aligns with my work. That's not what I want to do. And it's just kind of like, yeah, that would make me more money. And yeah, some of these companies are really big and would like help me get my name out there. But I don't know. I wish I could find a balance so I could still like be financially better.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, I've seen artists or designers go from creating work for themselves to creating work for the gram. It's like a whole different game on its own. Like, you just can't create good work and post it. I mean, you can, but it's not how Instagram works. You gotta do something stupid. You gotta like throw it at the end and break it or something like that.
Yeah, you gotta
like
do some weird.
Yeah, like make a vase and then crack an egg on it, and you'll get shared on Instagram. It's a performance, and it's a very odd performance.
Yeah,
and but then I don't know. Collaborating with companies, that's kind of different, isn't it? Though, like a lot of designers do that. And there's scope for some good work. Like maybe if you're, I don't know, if you're like an illustrator and Nike approaches you to do like a clothing line, that's a good opportunity. Like,
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is good.
Nike's not saying like it's for the gram.
Right. Yeah. I think it really depends. Like, I mean, I make teaware also. Like, I mean, I make a lot of different things, but like I make teaware, and I like making teaware for certain companies if I could. I've made teaware before for a company. But that was like, I felt like in that role, I was more of a designer, because they kind of told me what they wanted. They told me like what it was going to be used for. And then they wanted this design, and I did it. But that wasn't really that fun to me, because then it was kind of like, well, I'm just a fabricator. Yeah. But I have a project coming up. There's no like set date, we're still just talking about the logistics, but I will be doing work with this food company, like this small business run by a woman of color. She does this like really cool idea. She's based in San Francisco, but she does this like subscription service for food every week. But what we're going to do is I'm going to make certain like serving dishes and stuff that will be available for her subscribers or like whoever, but it's going to be more than just like, here's this plate that I made. There's going to be like conversations involved and like a chance for people to learn, because the way that project came about was that I was talking about how when I make functional work, like dinnerware, right? Things that you eat off of, I still put in a lot of time and detail, and I still hand paint that shit. Like, it takes me a long time. And before I moved to the East Coast, I was doing craft fairs in the city, like Renegade Craft, Unique SF, all that stuff. And here in the Bay Area for ceramics, Heath is like the name, right? Like, everyone knows Heath.
Okay.
They're a good company, but it's Heath. So it's like, a certain aesthetic with a certain price tag. And I was asked, when I was selling stuff, I had like similar prices to what they have, or maybe a little higher, because my work was porcelain. Mm-hmm. And like hand painted and stuff. But a lot of the things that people would say is they would say, oh my God, this is beautiful. Or like, this is so pretty. But they wouldn't say this to my face, but I could hear them when they walked away. Once they found out the price, they would be like, but I could just get something like from Daiso. And so it was just like, became very apparent to me that similar to how people associate Asian food with being cheap, they also associate like dinnerware or ceramics with an Asian aesthetic that it should also be cheap, because there are places like Daiso or like restaurant supply companies that have Asian dinnerware that is really cheap, but then people would go and pay for Heath. And so that's kind of where this project came from, was I was getting frustrated. Like I stopped making functional wear for a while because I literally was like, no one's going to buy it. I'm not going to sell this for $5 or $10. I'm going to sell this for $80 because that's what it should be. Mm-hmm. And people were just like, oh, it's like, I could just get this from Daiso. And so I just stopped making it for a while. But this company that I will be working understands my frustrations with it, and we're going to have like more conversations about that. So when it's like that, then I love to work with other companies because I love collaborating. I love working with other people, but it has to like align. It has to have like a purpose and a reason for me. So yeah, but then see, that's the thing. I'm not doing that for fame or to get recognition or anything, right? Like I do that because it's something I really believe in. And like, I want to support her company, and I love what she's doing. So I feel like that's different.
Yeah, I think it's nice that, like it's okay to not compromise when it comes to like just being a ceramic churning machine for a brand that just stuffs the whole script down your throat and like, make that. You know? But it's obviously, what you're doing and many other artists are doing is like not giving in to stuff like that and looking for more opportunities, and they will come, but like they take time to build. And I think the thing is, it's kind of sad that the whole industry for handmade art or just objects in general, it's still not there yet. Like we kind of like fool ourselves into thinking like, handmade stuff, we love it. But when we want to pay for them, we don't love it that much. You know what I mean? So we're not there yet. And obviously these big companies are killing artisans, and they've always done that. It's a battle. And nobody does it better than Netflix also killing businesses. Like Netflix killed Blockbuster, and then they made a documentary about how they killed Blockbuster. Like, it's amazing.
Did they?
Yeah,
they made that documentary.
Yeah, there's a Blockbuster documentary on Netflix about how they killed Blockbuster.
Wow. The audacity.
It's fun. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Artists, don't worry about it. Small businesses, it's okay. Okay, keep going.
We're all gonna be okay.
We're all gonna survive. Don't worry about it. But do you think that there's this like pressure of, and this is like a conclusive statement, right? This is a question that I want to leave everybody, you, the one person listening, me, my mom.
Hey, we might have 2 listeners. I don't know. Hi, guys.
Yeah, sorry, Dad. You're there too. When it comes to like battling or like balancing art for yourself and art for commerce, do you think that you're worried that your work might become too commercial at that point? Do you ever, and does that scare you from making money? Like scare you away from making money? Yeah. Yes,
because before I did grad school, I was doing a residency in Rhode Island for a year. And at that time, I had just quit my first grad school. before I moved to Rhode Island. And so I was doing that residency, and I was like, I don't know what work to make. So I just like did production work where I like flip casted, and I just made like really pretty stuff, like really pretty cups and really pretty bowls and stuff. And that with the intention of just selling it at like lower prices, like, you know, like just whatever at the shop, at the residency. And I realized I hated it. It was just not me to do that type of production work, like make the same forms over and over again, do the same pattern over and over again. While they were cute, I liked the work that I made. It was just kind of like, why am I doing this just to make money? But it's so boring. It's so unsatisfying to me. I'm basically just a factory. Yeah, I made money from it, but it was like, there was no fun. There was no exploration because everything had to be figured out so that you could have like an efficient way of making things with like not wasting material. Because if the point is to make money, you got to think about those things. No exploration at all. And so I did do that for like a year, and I really didn't like it. And I think that is also another reason why I get scared of like money, like big money, fame, these type of things I think about, because like I didn't like how empty it made me feel.
There's a saying, I forgot who said that, obviously. But there's a saying that quotes, I wish everybody became famous and rich just so they can know or experience and figure out that that is not the answer that they were looking for.
Oh, I've never heard that. I like it.
Yeah. What are you looking for? Yeah, you're not looking for that, right? You're not looking for fame and riches. No. You're looking for something that's bigger, like deeper. And
that's why I don't try to make money off of my work. Like a lot of people ask me if I sell my work. I say yes, but it depends. And it's because I don't have like an online shop that's always open. And I, you know, honestly, also shipping ceramics is a pain in the ass that I hate dealing with. But like, I don't want to make money from my work. Like, I don't want to make a living off of my work. So the things that I do instead are things like teach. Like, I love teaching. I love mentoring young people, and I love helping them. I love helping them succeed in clay and make things, and being able to like make connections for them, and like help them see those connections in succeeding in the studio with how they can succeed in life, and like things like that. Like, I love this. There's like a deeper meaning for me. And that's how I would rather make a living is by teaching. So like, you know, being a professor at a college, or also like my friend who is opening a studio in San Francisco that I went to undergrad with her. She believes in the same type of like ethos that I believe in terms of like community and like wanting to create a safe space for people who need it, like people who need belonging and protection, people who can just like come to the studio and like make work and just chill out, and like no one's going to judge you or attack you or just see you as like a member who pays money. And that's how we survive. Like, we want something deeper than that. And so that's one of my projects that I'm working on too, is helping her with the studio, like helping her grow it into something bigger than just a community studio that makes money. Like, we want to create a space, like a community for people. But that's how I would rather make money.